But now we're gonna go talk about another movie, a final movie of this thing. Another spoiler review of the new Disney Pixar movie, Soul. So Soul came out, or it was supposed to come out earlier this year. It got pushed out to November. Then it got just pushed all together on Disney Plus. And the movie is starring Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey, Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad, a lot of big names in this movie. Questlove's even in this movie. Jazz musician, and he wants to get his big break to finally play with one of the big jazz legends, but he dies or critically injures himself, and he finds himself about to go over to the great beyond, but he knows it's not his time yet. So this movie here was not what I was expecting at all, and it was a deep movie. That was a wonderful movie, and overall, real quick, you guys, I'm gonna get your overall thoughts about the movie. Then we get to spoilers and things that we liked about the movie, didn't like about the movie, or some of the controversies that could come with this movie. So, starting with you, director, overall thoughts of Soul.
It was a pleasant surprise. Like I didn't have high hopes for this film. I didn't like what I saw in the trailer. I think the trailer, if they would have showed you any more in the trailer, it would have ruined the film. And I just think it was a really good film. The only downside, people like get upset when I say this, but the only downside to the movie is I'm just curious who was their projected demographic, because I feel like this film is for adults, and I feel like the average kid, while I think they will get some entertainment out of it, I think it was just way too heavy, and I don't think it was cheerful enough for, like, I don't know, maybe like teenagers, maybe. I don't know. That's why I was asking you about your son, if he had seen it, because I was just curious if someone little has seen it and can just be like, did you like this or no?
Uh-huh. How about you, Lady Sketch?
I enjoyed it. I didn't think about it, but I'm also curious who the demographic was supposed to be for, because I don't think it's for kids after seeing it the first time. I liked it. It was one of those things where folks was writing think pieces and everything before the movie even came out, and I was curious like what it was going to be, whether it was going to be like a Princess and the Frog type situation. But I ended up really enjoying it. It was good visually. It was beautiful. There were some things I did not enjoy about it, but and overall, we had just watched Wonder Woman, so I think I gave it a little extra sauce than I might have, because I wasn't feeling Wonder Woman. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I'm the same way. I gave the movie a complete nerdgasm after saying it was a damn near perfect. I was trying to think of a reason why I couldn't give it a nerdgasm. So you guys should check out the not spoiler. But right now, I really enjoyed the movie. So we get into spoilers here. So this movie teaches a lot about, let's just to be blunt about it, afterlife.
Yeah, the meaning of life.
The meaning of life, death, and stuff like that. Where a lot of Pixar, Disney movies, they will touch on it, but they don't go into details about it. And like I said, they did have the funny moments and the humorous kid-like elements to it also. But when it comes to the deeper meaning of the message, I felt as though that it took you there to a ride that you weren't necessarily ready for. Like almost, like this movie almost convinced me that whenever my time is, when I close my eyes, that's the escalator I'm gonna go on. That's how I felt. That's how the movie almost felt like, wow, that going on beam is going on. I'm just like, you know what? It makes you think a lot. It makes you think a lot, and I enjoy. One of the main things I enjoy is Jamie Foxx. Mm-hmm. Jamie Foxx is great. Jamie Foxx is one of them actors that no matter what you give him, whether the movie is good or bad, he gonna do his damnness in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you mind if I step in for 1 second?
Sure.
Jamie Foxx is the type of dude, he's like the real popular dude in school that you want to hate, and then you end up sitting next to him on the bus one day and being like, damn, I really like this guy. Why is he so awesome? He's just so chill.
That's an accurate description.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I get about it. But I thought he did great bringing the character Joe Gardner to life. So, what were some of the things that you liked about the movie? You can get on to spoilers right now, director.
Man,
did you like the concept of like the afterlife and stuff?
Huh?
Did you enjoy the concept of how they try to explain the afterlife and your purpose on Earth?
No, not really. So like that stuff was fine. Because I guess they didn't really do as much afterlife as they did the Great Before with like showing like how that situation works. And I thought that was really I thought that was fine enough. What I really appreciated was just how they paid attention to just black people, and it was like the representation where it didn't feel pandery. It just felt like they dropped a camera and then threw on 3D motion onto a black life. Like that barbershop scene is something everyone talks about. I thought that was great. Seeing him, like there was even a line where he was like, "I'm gonna throw on a suit and you can edge me up." And I know that went over a lot of people's heads, but for me, I was just like, "Yeah, you sharpen it out.
Yeah.
Get out the clippers. Every black dude got a clippers because it's just something that we would naturally do." Like I really appreciated that. The biggest thing about the movie, though, that really hit it for me was just the message of what does it mean to dream and what does it mean to live your dreams. And I think that's such a hard thing to convey because there's the scene where, afterwards he's just like, I was expecting this moment to be so much more. And she, the musician that he was playing for tells him that allegory or about the kid, the fish looking for the ocean. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for the ocean." He's like, "You're in the ocean." It's like the ocean. This is just water. And I feel like me personally, I live a lot of that where I'm always looking for the ocean, and I'm just surrounded by the ocean. And I am in the ocean, but it's hard to see when you're in it versus when you're outside looking back at it. You'd be like, "Well, damn, I was in the ocean the whole time." So I think that message, was great for me. I was concerned that it was going to be a Princess and the Frog situation, but I was glad that it wasn't.
Yes, I'm glad also that we got to experience a lot of black life, even though I enjoyed the Great Before stuff. Mm-hmm. But I am happy that we got to actually everything that they said in that movie. I understood it completely because obviously that's just regular everyday life. When it goes from, trying to line yourself up, but then, when you go to the barbershop, you gotta wait, but then, you got that patch in your hair, you're like, whoa, we gotta take care of you now, bro. I've had that, I've seen that happen before. I've enjoyed those, Jordan Scott, I enjoy, his mother would talk, the little mannerisms, and I agree with you about the whole scenario with Dorothea Williams, who's Angela Bassett, was talking about, the fish in the ocean, and I was just like, that is going over. As soon as she said out, I stopped there and looked like, no kid is going to get that. Mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? No child, and no disrespect to my child, but they're not going to understand that reference. Mm-hmm. At least not yet. They're not, at this age, they're not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, that definitely is aimed at it, and it also it got me also where it's just like, you feel as though your purpose in life is one thing because how passionate about it that you are. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it could be something completely different. That touched home for me a lot also. You know what I'm saying? And it felt as though like, he's just not seeing what his true purpose is because he feels as though because he loves something else so much that it's really like almost like clouding his kind of judgment. And I like this. I like to see the build up of it as it goes on throughout the whole movie. Like I said, I definitely didn't mind the Princess in the Frog situation. And even though I know people out there are mad about the whole cat thing, and I'm just like, it didn't bother me. And that's something I think the kids are going to relate to when that whole part happens. Because actually, when he went back into the body, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know he was going to go back. He was going to go back here.
I think that was probably their fight, like to get to get Disney to jump behind this and be like, all right, because imagine going into a meeting trying to pitch a movie about the afterlife. This is Disney. They're gonna be like, okay, and I really think that was supposed to be the hook with the cat, the whole cat, him jumping into the cat's body, and then her jumping into his body, kind of thing. And I know that me personally, I've been in those spaces where I'd be like, I didn't like this. Why y'all doing black folk like this? And going back and looking at things like through a different lens, I'm like, that right there kind of clouded how I looked at the whole movie. Like I didn't take in the whole movie because I was so angry about this one thing. I had heard for years about the whole thing with Princess and the Frog, and then I sat down and watched it with my daughter, and I saw how much she enjoyed it, even with the frogs. You know, because it was colorful and it was music and it was. Did I hate the fact that she had to be a frog for 85% of the movie? Yes, but I still ended up enjoying it. Which I didn't know if I would. And yes, it has its problems too. But for Soul, I think when I saw it, I was like, this movie will resonate with dreamers. If you are a dreamer, you will really, this movie will hit. Like you'll feel it. And I'm not saying that everybody else won't like it, but it really, like, it'll give you something to think about no matter what you are. But if you are a dreamer, you're a Joe Gardner, it'll really give you some things to think about. And I think it was cool to see, because again, kind of like Jordan Peele movies where he's like, look, I'm making this movie and there'll be some reference to black culture and of course and everything here because it's black people, but this could be literally anybody. And that's what I'm making it for, but it's gonna be black people. And I feel like that's kind of what Soul was. It's like, this movie could have been told with literally anyone, but they chose a black person to be the lead, so in turn you got to incorporate some black culture into it. I liked it. The couple things, like, it was a couple things that I didn't enjoy, like, not enjoy, but left me questioning.
Okay, sure.
Like the end, I want to know what happened to 22.
I do.
I feel like they kind of left us hanging with that one. And then also, why mention the fact that he has a woman on his mind? We never see or hear from her or anything. Like, I thought that was going to be the thing to, like, wrap it up in a bow. Like, you know, he's like, I'm going to live my life to the fullest now. So then he goes and he starts doing the shows with Dorothea Williams. And then he goes home and he calls Lisa. Yeah. So I thought that, I don't know what could have happened. Even because I know I heard you and a couple other people were saying, well, what if he met up with the Lisa girl and they had a baby and it was 22? 22 jumped down to Earth, so she already down here.
Yo, 22's in Africa.
What happened?
Yeah, she's in South Africa. Well, 22 is not a he or a she. It's
an entity, yeah.
But when it hit down, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was Africa. And I'm sorry, go ahead. Continue. I
was going to say, like, even if we got to the point where he almost lost his soul or whatever because he almost died, you could have jumped out the window and been like, well, Lisa had a near-death experience and now 22 is Lisa. I don't know. But because after the fact, I did see some folks posting online and saying this was an interesting way to bring up the idea of a soulmate. And I was just like, that is an interesting way to bring up a soulmate. So what if 22 is his soulmate and is the person, or I don't know, whatever it jumped into, it's something that he's supposed to be attached to somehow. I don't know. It's just, that was the one thing where I was just like, I want to know what happened after I'm gonna say she because it's Tina Fey. It's easier to just say she. When she jumped down to Earth, and what happened at the end, it just felt kind of. I mean, I guess it's supposed to, but it felt kind of open ended.
Well, what the director said that. Cause I was looking at an interview with him after I seen the movie that they did have planned on making an ending similar to what we were talking about, but he wanted to leave it open ended so this thing kind of
so we could talk about it.
So we could talk about it so you can make your own kind of thing because it did just end abruptly. It did just end abruptly, but yeah, he kind of left it open ended because once again, you know, it in the hindsight of things, it gets people talking. But if you make it the end. You may have people that's not going to like the end, people that say well, it should have been a little bit better, or whatever the case may be, or then they'll be like this, well, if 22 is going to be like a little black girl or somebody that's black, why she got Tina Fey voice? It's so much other
There's so much stuff that could have...
It could have been so much other thing that you're bringing, it's like you indirectly causes negativity that don't even need to be there. Okay, so like, well, it's open-ended, it's up to you. Now, obviously, the director said that 22 is not a male or female, black or white, doesn't matter. But when you just watch as the viewer, you're just seeing Tina Fey.
You're seeing Tina Fey because you're hearing Tina Fey.
Yeah. So no matter what it is, it's a white woman. That's basically what it is. So no matter if she became Lisa or if she became his soulmate or if he became his daughter, his son, you're still hearing Tina Fey's voice, and you're going to have a problem with that. So,
and that was the thing. The other thing, kind of like the whole Wonder Woman deal. Steve Trevor just dropped into old boy's body, right? So everybody saw him, and she just conjured up Steve. When Tina Fey was in his body,
yes, did
they hear his voice?
Yes, they actually showed that. Remember when he was cursed at the doctors, and from the doctor's view, it's just the cat going off.
Okay.
And remember, even Bob, she said, "Yo, man, if that cat don't, chill out, you're gonna have to go outside."
Yeah.
But he was trying to talk to him, and we hear his voice. And then when he was explaining to his mother, saying to her, it was like Tina Fey was saying it, but then when it went to his mother's vision, you heard Jamie Foxx's voice.
No, I thought they were just doing that because the cat was still on his shoulder. I didn't know that was what that was supposed to illustrate. But go ahead.
I was so when he was talking, they heard the regular Joe Gardner.
Okay, that was the thing that I was trying to understand. Go ahead. Kind of like, do you know if Stewie talks or not on Family Guy?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people answer him and sometimes they don't. But go ahead. I'm just completely random.
Also, I'm like, along with all the other difficult things, also, I do think that anytime you talk about afterlife period, it's a very sensitive topic.
It's a touchy subject.
Very touchy subject because you're dealing with what people believe or what people don't believe or people make. No matter, you can just say afterlife, people think you're force feeding them. You know what I'm saying? It's always a touchy thing, and I felt as though that the way they did it wasn't as preachy, but it made me think because I'm just like I said, that's what the movie's for. The great beyond or the afterlife, whatever the case, it may not be for everybody. But like I said, it really boiled down to the point where it was just like, damn. Do you feel as though that... Because the whole thing in this movie he kept saying was, it ain't my time yet. But according to them, it is.
You don't get to say when it's your time.
You know what I'm saying? And he's like,
it sucked my man just walked to a manhole, but...
Well, first of all...
he should
have been on that phone. Like, I'm saying,
walking through the streets.
I mean, I could pull over to the side and talk to you, but I was saying my man ain't looking. He should have died. The car should have hit him, but it's Disney.
The car should have hit him. The brick should have fell on him.
Yeah.
But my man's. I mean, also, let's not pretend like somebody just fell a bunch of feet down into a rat hole in New York. He could have lived.
He did. He was knocking on death's door. He was in the in between area.
Yeah, I know.
So he didn't fully die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was like, yeah, that shit fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't fully die. And just having that message, or just having that message for the people who want to learn more about it, or people who often think, I mean, no matter what you believe, everybody on this earth has always thought about what happens when you die.
And correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't actually say God. Right?
They never. That's the good thing about it. They never said God. They never said.
It didn't seem like they were intentionally like tiptoeing around it. It was just more so like I gotta figure out. I know it's supposed to be 250,000 people up here, but it's 249,999. Where is the other man at?
I like how like they use those other drawings. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the only way your mind can perceive who we are. Mm-hmm. I was like, because I've heard that about a lot of things. And, like, they still use the Disney element. They brought the comedy to it, but they never mentioned God. They never mentioned Jesus. They never mentioned heaven. They just said the great beyond. This is where you're supposed. We're just here to basically, help you with the personality, help you get to that stairway to heaven, basically, type thing. But they never mentioned to that point of saying, who the being is. It's just one big giant light, and it was kind of like, when he first got there, the old lady was like, I'm 106 years old. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I was like, she's been living a long time. And to the point where they just go and they just go to these or disappear, and you don't really know what happened to them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like how Coco did it. Mm-hmm. Coco was more direct with it. You know what I'm saying? They were more direct with it, but I enjoy how Coco did it also. I was like, okay, that's cool. You sit there and think like, man, if I die and my fam forget about me, do I disappear in this everything too? Because does the memory of me keep me up here? That to me was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it made me enjoy Coco, and my sister loves it to death. And the representation in that also. So that's kind of how I felt with this movie as well, and it surprised me on all kinds of levels. Director, since you say too much, since this is more of a positive review, do you have anything that like really bothered you or didn't like?
No.
Okay.
That's short and sweet.
I think the only thing I really didn't like, I didn't get a chance to see it in the theaters. Like that's kind of a drawback, because this type of film I definitely would have gotten around to seeing it, because I probably wouldn't have seen it without hearing the reviews about it. And then once all the positivity started coming in, I would have definitely been like, yeah, we definitely got to go see this movie Soul. So I probably would have made it my way to go see the film. I think like the fact that like they handle, like, because no one talks about what happens before you're born. Everyone wants to talk about, like heaven and hell and that type of situation. Like, where do you go from there? But, there's all types of theories and ideas about inherited trauma and just, genetic memory. And I think it's really interesting how, like, this movie portrayed it. And I think that's one of the things that kind of kept them safe, because talking about what happens before you're born doesn't seem as taboo as talking about what happens after you die, Mm-hmm. And I think with 22 and, like, how the movie ended, to me, it ended perfectly because it basically finished the arc of Joe. Like, mm-hmm. When we met him, he was one way, and then when he walks out that door, he's someone who's finally going to live. He's going to stop looking for the ocean and just start being in the ocean. And I think that's like a different movie at that point. We don't know if he's going to make good decisions or bad decisions, or however it's going to be. And I just think I just thought it was really good. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times. My only downside to it, again, is I just feel like, man, it is such a risky movie, because it's good, but it's just like, who is this for? That's all. That's my only thing. I'm just like, is it for adults? Just say it's for adults. Just say it was for me. Just say it. Just say it. It's it's for, because it's. I was just trying to think of like animated feature films that don't have cute or animated feature films that have adult heroes, and the only ones I could really think about was like Sunny with a Cloud of Meatballs. But that movie is so bizarre that I think having like kids' minds watching this dude who's kind of cartoony do a bunch of stuff didn't really take you out. But Joe is like a real black dude. Like, I've met a bunch of Joes in my life. I've met Joes as security guards. I've met Joes as cooks. I've met Joes as teachers. My homie grew up and turned into a Joe. He's just a regular, everyday, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a straight up black dude.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say he's unremarkable, but he's just like, he's Joe.
He's the average Joe.
He's the average Joe, yes, you're right.
And I just thought like people would have a hard time connecting to, like children would have a hard time connecting to that character if he wasn't like the blue little poof fella that I just thought he was going to be this little cute thing for longer. The body swap thing didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Like I heard about it and I was like a little salty. But once I seen how it played out, I definitely didn't mind. And how like they dealt with like the astral plane, which I think is like another taboo subject. They were able just to handle it with grace, which is really good. Dealing with like doubt and like imposter syndrome, just how you can be in the zone and then the zone can take you into a dark place. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff. Like I feel like Kanye West is living this shit right now. Kanye West is one of them like
bro,
little black
you know what?
Around, just lost. And I just there's nothing I don't like about this movie. I love it.
Yeah, that
I love it.
Those little monster things or things that people get caught up in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Though in my head, I was just like, I know so many people that's stuck in there, and it's actually frightening. Like when he goes in there, they get 22 out, and it's like he's haunted by all these negative souls that's in that.
And who honestly probably weren't even being that crazy to him. Like, think about all the stuff that Joe was saying in her or its mind. And that's not what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how she
took
it in. She took it in.
Yeah. And there's some people that I'm just like, people who are on the cusp of like, one that goes to that dark place and end it all. Unfortunately, I don't want to go ahead and say the names and all stuff like that. I'm just like, but that's what it made me think of. Like when people say like they are in a dark place, like that what I just see right there makes sense.
Yeah.
And you gotta actually go in there, and like when he went in there, it was a fight to get her back out. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, that part really that hit me in the feels. That part right there. Because I tell you all the time, I'm my own biggest critic. And it's not always because somebody has said that to me, but you can take when you're living in your mind and it's a pool of doubt in there. Mm-hmm. And what people are saying is just getting dumped in there. And contaminating it even further. It's like you could tell me something is okay, right? And you really mean it's cool. But what I hear is it's not good. It's not great. Mm-hmm. It should be better. So it's the like that part right there really got to me. I was like, damn, this real life. I feel like I'm being read right now. So I mean. And I feel like there are a lot of parts of this movie that do that. Like, if you really let yourself sit back and watch it without all the pretense or context of everything else that you've seen and heard from other people, if you really sit down and watch it, it's just like, damn, that's facts. The other thing that I felt a bit incomplete, like, it wasn't a bad thing, but we know, like, what you think is your purpose, not necessarily your purpose. I think they tried their best to allude to the fact that his purpose may not have necessarily been him being a musician. But we have at least two examples of kids whose lives you've impacted.
Yes.
So, is your purpose teaching? Is your purpose, just getting others into the world of music or whatever the case may be, or pushing them through with music in a time where they may not otherwise do it? Like the Questlove character was like, I only went to school because of your class. Mm-hmm. And look at me now. I'm doing what I love, and I feel like that was supposed to be his, I guess, purpose, but we kind of skirted around it a little bit. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Steve Harvey thing, where if anybody remembers the Steve Harvey show, he comes to school because he's a musician, and he had a successful group in to say he's an old school guy, but his friend gives him this job, but then throughout the early seasons, all he cares about is getting back to that music and getting back to the high tops.
Yeah,
But when he realized his purpose and how many kids that he touched, you know, saying in that school, and I think that. I think it alluded to it, but it's just probably not the way that you probably want it. Towards the end, when he was just like, look, when he was thinking about it, he helped that girl who play sex wanted to quit. He helped Questlove become a musician as he is now. Mm-hmm. He helped 22, and he felt as though, like, you know what, this is the purpose. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to go. So if it's my time to drop dead right there when I was on that piano,
then yeah,
then I'm gonna take it. And that was because I felt as though that I have, maybe because nobody else, Mother Teresa couldn't even help 22. Okay,
I mean,
Mother Teresa, Muhammad Ali, everybody that they have encountered.
They gave, but I think, let me be honest with you. I think they gave some controversial names on purpose.
Like Lincoln?
No. Listen, everybody who was her mentor prior to this.
Yeah.
Had some kind of controversy tied to them. Like, they were supposed to be this grand, like, larger than life person, but then when they died, you found out that they weren't that great, or that they had, like, when they were here on Earth, they had controversy following. Muhammad Ali, we know what happened with Muhammad Ali. Gandhi, we found out after he died all the stuff that happened with Gandhi. Mother Teresa, same. George Orwell, same. So it's like you hear all these people who worked with her. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't say, like, I don't know. I can't really think of anybody at the moment, at the top of my head, who was like this great figure who you don't really hear anything bad about, and they really tried to turn her life for like
Fred Rogers.
Good example. Right. Good example. So it's not like they was like Mr. Rogers couldn't turn her around. That's not what they said. They gave her complex folks, I think, on purpose. Okay. I don't know if that was the way it was written, but I feel like maybe that was done intentionally, because
that makes sense, because Disney always books were playing like that.
Because Joe was a regular, everyday guy who really wasn't a bad guy. He didn't have bad intentions for anyone, but he was just, living his life. You got your, but everybody else that they mentioned, I don't know. You can't. Nobody's soul is pure, but I don't know. And I know folks probably listening to like, what you mean? Just do some Googles on these people and find for yourself. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I actually, you brought a good point to my, because I didn't even think about that till you said that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so that does make sense, because everybody's not perfect.
No, everybody's not perfect.
But I say, but him just being a regular guy who was not on that pedestal like these other people were.
That's probably why they were giving them to her, because they were like, well, this person was great. They should be able to.
Yeah. Type thing, and then he was the one that be able to change it. So yeah, I could definitely see.
But you gotta remember, he wasn't supposed to be there.
Or was he?
Well, no, like I think that them in the afterlife, they were kind of aloof because they were just doing a job. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't have much concern about what happened on Earth. Mm-hmm. They were just more concerned with just doing what they were supposed to do. So I think, because no one really kind of did it before, he kind of just like was able to slide in there and do some things differently. Like I don't think that they intentionally wanted Joe to like change 22. I think that they were like, she'll come around eventually because we have forever. You know what I mean? And I think they created a little psychopath and was just like, that's crazy. Well, we'll see what happens on Earth. Like I just think that they didn't really think about. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it was. What I'm saying is not necessarily her, like, I don't think they were, because he wasn't. Joe lied to get there. Yeah, I don't think it was about him. I'm saying they intentionally paired her with these people. Like they wanted you to see, like, we gave her the best of the like the best of the brightest that came from Earth, and it didn't do it. It didn't work. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was necessarily about Joe, which is why they were like, well, we didn't really expect that, so here's your second chance. That part, cool. I'm saying that the mentors that the movie assigned to her. Because they could have gave her anybody who's dead.
They did give her. I don't know if you remember that one part. She like when you went to her room, she had a wall. It was like a mural of ID badges.
Mm-hmm.
She had some pretty interesting mentors. Like not all of. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it was. I think they just kind of mentioned those people because they're just like they're known.
They're known
for being, like, for the most part, decent people. Like good, like when you think of like good people, you kind of think about some of like those individuals until you go deeper in life. But like Aretha Franklin was like one of her teachers. You know, like I was just watching this. I was watching this thing where they're talking about all the like the Easter eggs, and they were breaking down all the different names that were on the wall of all of her mentors, and it was various people. So I'm not sure. I don't know if they would use those specific people because of their controversy. I think they just use them because when you think of like dead people who done nice things, you think of like who's nicer than Mother Teresa. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, apparently a lot of people, but I'm just listen.
For like the average zeitgeist, like no one thinks Mother Teresa and then thinks, you know, evil.
You're right. I gotta sometimes you gotta remove yourself from the situation because I grew up Catholic, so I heard the whole like the spiel. But then when I got older, I wanted to know the truth. So, but then not everybody thinks of it that way. So I get it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Mother Teresa.
I'm gonna find out in this podcast though.
I'm not saying that she was a horrible person, but I'm just saying that there have been cases made. I'm not saying it for myself. There have been cases made from folks who feel like that some of the stuff that she did was not the greatest. But go ahead. That's just my.
Well, like I said, so do yourselves a favor. I do recommend checking out Soul. Also check out Wonder Woman 84 if you can, but definitely check out Soul on Disney Plus. It's a joy to watch.